Welcome to the Our Forever Smiles podcast, a podcast created to support mothers of children who were born with clefts and those who love them. I'm your host, Laura Arroyo. Hello, and welcome back to the Our Forever Smiles Cleft Mom Diaries and Support podcast. I am your host, Laura Arroyo. Before we jump into this episode, I'd like to invite you to join this community to hear conversations with other cleft moms and advocates that will help you feel supported along your journey. All I want you to do is click on the follow or subscribe button. I love your support, and it's incredible to see us all come together. And we're just getting started. Go ahead and subscribe. We have so much in store for you for the rest of this year. As a note, we are not medical doctors, and we do not intend for you to use the information that we share here as medical advice. We are parents and advocates who love our children, and we are sharing our own personal experiences. I'm so thrilled to have our next guest today because this is actually a part 2. I've actually spoken to her already, but things happen, technology, all the things. But I'm still so excited to speak with her again, obviously, because she has made such an impact on the cleft community. We have Krista, the president and founder of Cuddles for Clefts, and she is also a mom to a cleft-affected child. Welcome, Krista.
Hi, thank you. So good to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you for your willingness to come on again, obviously, to record with me. I'm really excited to have you on. Not only because, we love to share our stories as cleft moms, but we also are just excited to hear from, as being the founder of Cuddles for Clefts, so many of us know about the care packages and all of the things that come, the things that warm our hearts really from this really difficult diagnosis, right? There's very, I don't know, I guess small, like glimmers of, I wouldn't say hope, but just like sunshine maybe,
Yeah.
like in
Yeah.
in the journey that can
Yeah.
be really, really hard. And I think that is what you've created in Cuddles for Clefts have been something that has just been really endearing,
Thank you.
and so we're all grateful for that. So I do want to start from the beginning, though. How many children do you have?
I have 2 boys. They are 10 and 12. My youngest, Cole, is our cleft affected son. Yeah, it goes fast. They're growing up.
Yeah. So he's 10. Does he have to have bone graft, or is
Yeah,
that?
he actually just had it last summer. So a year ago, right about this time, he got literally a couple days after he was out of school, he had that surgery, and we spent the 12 weeks of summer on that recovery. So this year, he's super excited that he does not have that to go through again.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Hi, I am so sorry to interrupt the show, but I just want to tell you about today's sponsor. Today's show sponsor is Sienna Darn Media Integrated Marketing Agency. Sienna Darn Media is more than just a marketing agency. They are your partners in progress. Their mission is simple: to alleviate marketing bandwidth, allowing creative business owners to focus on what they set out to do: create. Sienna Dawn Media empowers creatives to thrive without the burden of managing their own social media and marketing campaigns. Visit siennadawnmedia.com.
So I do want to dig into that a little bit, but I'm going to start from the beginning
Yeah.
about when you found out about Cole's diagnosis. Do you remember what that day was like for you all?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We found out about his diagnosis at our 20-week ultrasound scan. We went into it expecting, especially having, one son. They're only 18 months apart, so it wasn't, very much. There wasn't much time between us. So I went into it kind of expecting the exact same thing. And as the tech was doing the ultrasound, there were things looking back that I now like catch. Like she wouldn't turn it over into the 3D. She kept scanning over his face over and over, and she's like, "Oh yeah, the 3D is not working today." And then when we went, she sent us out. I was in the waiting room for over almost an hour and a half. And at that point, I told my husband, I'm like, we know what they're going to say. Just go ahead and go back to work. Like, I'll wait. I'll wait for them to, call me back. And when the doctor did, they gave us the diagnosis that he would be cleft affected. And I had a male doctor at the time, and I don't know if it was partially that or just maybe his bedside manner wasn't the best, but he wasn't able to provide me with much information at all. He just said, that he would be cleft affected. They would fix him with surgery, and that I would want to pick a strong name for him, and kind of just let me out the door. And that was it. At that point, there was
Wow.
no resources, no information other than that. And so when I got to the car, I immediately hopped on Google, which is probably, the worst thing to do because you can get such, the broad from like it's a death sentence to like, no big deal. So that was really the only thing I had to go off of. We had no family history, no frame of reference other than seeing commercials on television of cleft affected children. Um,
Yeah.
and that was that. So, and then we had our confirmation scan a couple weeks later after that, where they did confirm, yeah, that
Mm.
he had a cleft. Yeah.
So you mentioned, like, being in the waiting room that long, like an hour and a half waiting for this diagnosis. And you said you kind of had a feeling that something was wrong. Did you think it was a cleft, or I guess what were you thinking? Like, you sent your husband away and said, "Hey, we're kind of just sitting here waiting for this bad news." Or did you think it was going to be bad news?
No, I had no idea. I honestly
Mm.
thought sometimes OB offices can run so behind, or they have to run to the hospital, something like that. That I thought, well, maybe something happened and it's just taking this long. I really had no idea what was coming. Like, so looking back
Wow.
and thinking about it, like with the ultrasound tech, I could see things, but up until we got that diagnosis, I didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah. Wow. And so how were you able to kind of deal with that emotionally? And what was your like husband's emotional response, or just response in general, once you shared this information with him?
Yeah, our initial reaction honestly was just shock. And like I said, neither of us had any like background or frame of reference for it. So it was scary. We didn't know what to expect really. And we didn't have resources to kind of guide us in any way. I did reach out at that time on a local social media moms group. I reached out on there and I was just like,
Mm.
has anyone gone through this experience, and does anyone know anything about clefts? And I did have a mom on there reach out, and she's like, my sister does. She has a cleft affected daughter. Like, I'd love to connect you.
Oh,
And that
wow.
was at that time, that was really, she was my lifeline during that time. And when we connected, her daughter was just about a year at the time. She was heading into her palate surgery. And she was really able to walk me through like what to expect, what was coming, calm my nerves, even though it's like the best that you can, because I feel like as
Yeah.
a mom, you like always just have that worry. But she was really able to show me like it's okay. Like this is
Yeah.
the process we've been through so far. She was super sweet to pass down like their valves for the bottles she was done with
Mm.
those after palate surgery. So that was really a unique experience to kind of have that friend who was like about a year ahead of us in their journey and be able to see that and follow that and have that kind of support system from the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I think it's so important and so valuable to just have like community in general. I'm sure it's one of the reasons why you probably started Cuddles for Clefts, but
Mhm.
also just having someone that kind of understands. I've spoken with other moms and they say like, even though like you're a complete stranger to me,
Mhm.
it's I feel more comfortable speaking with
Yeah.
you about this because I know that you understand what we're going through
Yes.
versus, like, someone else who's had a
A
non-cleft
different.
affected
Yep.
child. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And so there's, like, a comfort there. I think and then also, I immediately thought, like, she was probably also still going through her own journey, right? Like,
Right.
still
Absolutely.
and you
Yeah.
were able to kind of, be a support for her as well.
Yeah.
So I think that that's amazing. It's absolutely fascinating to
Yeah.
have that. So, you have this friend and then you also have like Google. In that waiting period, do you remember feeling like, okay, you're still worrying about these things, or were you able to kind of just accept things for what they were? How were those like, you have the rest of your pregnancy, right?
Yeah.
How do you remember what the rest of your pregnancy was like for you?
I think it was definitely a mix of both. I think was like that fear of the unknown. I had obviously that friend that I could look to or ask questions, but at the same time, it just as maybe as hard as you try, it's just like you can't quench that like inner fear and that inner doubt sometimes. And at the same time, I knew that there was absolutely nothing that I was able to do to change our
Mm,
situation at all. So
yeah.
just accepting that. There were some things throughout the pregnancy too when we had our the high risk doctor when she confirmed to even with immediately she confirmed the diagnosis, and then at that time too they let us know that they had questions or possible Down syndrome with him
Mm,
too, and then asked if we wanted to terminate, and that was shocking as well, just to not have, again, not to be given. I'm like I just I guess a resource person. Like I want to
yeah.
know my options and be able to research and to be able to make an informed answer about something. And so just to receive the diagnosis and then not have like any information to fall back on or look into, that was what was challenging. So I think, and it was just those questions where they couldn't give us a specific answer, even,
Mm,
and I know it's hard determining the type of cleft. Like every appointment I went to, because he would cover his face one time, he had a unilateral cleft, and the other time it was bilateral. And then they did see the palate affected. And so we didn't know his like true diagnosis until he was born, and he ended up having a bilateral cleft, complete on one side and incomplete on the other, and then a bilateral cleft palate as well. Um,
mm,
so I think just it was that constant kind of back and forth, like it's okay, like we're gonna get through it, like we're gonna make it, and then the other like maybe not, I don't know, like what if all this goes
yeah.
wrong, kind of thing. And I know other moms were like, just enjoy the pregnancy, and you want to, and then sometimes it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I myself go back and forth on, whether I would have want to know because I was actually surprised at birth, so it is one of those things where it is
Yeah.
like, well, do what I got to enjoy my pregnancy, right? I didn't
Yes.
have that worry, but then I like all of my worry went into her newborn phase, right? And I was
Yes.
so unprepared and like I didn't know what to expect and I've got all this conflicting information. And the
Yes.
one thing that you share also that is really, I think, frustrating for a lot of moms and that there's no real way around it. I think that sometimes we can get frustrated with our teams because they just don't know.
Hmm.
And that is just what the cleft journey is. Like
Yeah.
they truly just don't know.
Yeah.
It's really they have to see your child's anatomy, go surgery by surgery, right? I know a lot of the questions that I had is, well, is she going to need speech surgery? I mean,
Yes.
or speech therapy?
Yes.
And they're like, well, we don't know. We have to wait
Hmm.
until after palate repair. And a lot of it
Yeah.
is like they truly just they have to wait and see
Yeah.
like the way that she develops and so they don't have the answers immediately or right away, and I think that that is the hardest part is, like, number 1, we wanna know why this happened, they don't know the answer, we wanna know what the full journey is gonna look like, and it's like, well, all I can give you is worst case scenario, right?
Right. Yes.
That doesn't mean that that's gonna be your
Yeah.
situation, and
Yeah.
and so, it's
Yeah.
just really tough.
Yeah. It's all different for
Yeah.
everyone.
And so tell me about the day that Cole was born. Like, what was that when you finally got to see him? And obviously, you're like waiting to see what is his official diagnosis.
Yeah. Um, I know so many other moms too at the time, they'll say like once your baby's born and in your arms, like all that fear, melts away. And honestly, in that moment when he was born, it did. Like we didn't see,
Mhm.
his cleft, he was here, he was safe, he was healthy, and that's, was an exciting moment for us. And then thankfully, like there weren't any other complications birth wise or anything like that. It was just the
Mm,
learning to navigate. And again, going back to like the healthcare providers, like they may not see a cleft, very often. So trying to navigate. At
yeah.
first, they were like, "Oh no, you need to breastfeed." I'm like, "He can't breastfeed, So this isn't going to work." So you're stressing both of us out trying to force it, but trying to, get the bottles down. We tried several, until you find the one that kind of fits the, what he needs and what feels most comfortable for us. And just that navigating early on, just trying to meet their needs and make them comfortable and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Was your birth, was it similar to your previous delivery?
Yeah, it was faster. And in fact, we were about an hour and a half away from the hospital because that's where the Cleft team was. And so my water broke in the middle of the night and I'm like, we got to go now.
Oh.
So it was quick, but yeah, it was uneventful.
Oh, wow. Well, that's wonderful. I mean, some people have, on top of having this diagnosis, they have also like traumatic births
Yeah.
and that type of thing. So it's always good to have at least some easy part, right, of the
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went an hour and a half away. You met with your team. Was it like a situation where they wanted to have all hands on deck during your delivery, or were you okay to like not to kind of see them the next day?
Yeah, no, they had, as I was delivering, they brought in NICU and several other
Mhm.
specialists, and I mean, and took him right away. Like they didn't put him on my chest or anything
Oh,
like that. It was like they took him, evaluated him, and then gave him back to me. But yeah, they were, and at that time, where we were living, they had a like complete cleft care team. Some of those were there, and then others like trickled in throughout the day or the next day.
yeah.
Yeah, to see him.
Yeah. How did you feel about that? I guess, knowing what you know now of that he was completely fine, that they kind of like whisked him away. I know a lot of parents, especially in the Facebook group, like some teams are like, no, go right to the NICU. And a lot of moms are kind of like, well, you may want to challenge that because not all they don't have to go really. Like you just
Yeah.
kind of look at them and make sure that they're, breathing properly and how I guess how long was he away from you, and do you kind of wish that they would have just, like, been a little more calmer about this?
Yeah.
Or
Like thankfully they didn't take him out of the room. Like he was there, like
Oh,
I
okay.
could see him. And I was super thankful for other moms saying too, like the same thing, like they don't have to go to the NICU. And again, I know it can be different for every child. Like sometimes that could be a requirement
Yeah.
for one, but I was vocal in kind of that too, that I didn't want him to go unless it was like absolutely necessary, that I wanted the opportunity to see, if we could manage things on our own. So
Mm.
thankfully, at least the team was just in there, I think, to evaluate him immediately. And then they handed him to me, and thankfully he was able to stay with me the entire time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And what did you do during this time with your is you have another son, or
Yeah.
what how did you kind of navigate, I guess,
Talking
that
to him.
day, but also just
Yeah.
in general because he was 18
Yeah,
months?
he was only 18 months old. So, I mean, we tried to explain that his brother, might look a little different, that he, his lip might not be totally like formed together. I don't know how much he really understood. And then seeing him, he wanted nothing to do with us. My husband and I, like when we brought Cole home, he was like, "Yeah, I'm done with you guys." So,
Oh, with you all? He
yeah,
just wanted to be with
yeah.
Cole?
No, he wanted
Or
none
n
of us.
or no one?
Yeah, he wanted grandma. So,
He's like, "You all betrayed me.
yeah.
You brought I don't want anything to do with any of you.
No,
You
yeah.
betrayed me." Yeah, that I mean, that happens to so I feel like so many, sibling relationships are like that. It's like not
Yeah.
even the cleft is like the last thing. It's
Right.
literally all the attention that kinda
Yeah.
goes to this
Yes.
new baby and, like, it's like
I
this
don't like
form of
that. Yeah.
yeah. And so how did you decide on a team that you were gonna work with? Were you recommended by a pediatrician, or how did, you end up with Dr. Law?
So actually, it's kind of, yeah, a journey in that too. We originally were living in California at the time when Cole was born, and we used Kaiser, and we loved that they had a whole team already kind of in place. And everything was laid out really clearly for us. Like we didn't have to make a lot of choices. Like they had everything lined up. And even before Cole was born, they had like an annual picnic that we could go to and meet other
Oh,
families. And then so he had his first surgery at about 3 months old in California, and then we made the move to Texas when he was 9 months old. So when we made that move, it was prior to palate repair. We had to find a new team, and we found with moving to Texas, it was different. They didn't. Some hospitals did have like that whole team approach, everything already in place, and then others it was kind of you could pick and choose and kind of build your own.
mm,
So when we made the move, we met with several different surgeons here, and honestly, there were so many that were excellent. We didn't feel like we could probably
yeah.
pick a wrong person. But at the time, we just felt most comfortable. Um, Initially, we were with Dr. Genecov, and Dr. Law worked with Dr. Genecov, and Dr. Genecov passed away in a car accident a couple years ago, and Dr. Law took over his practice, and that's how we got to Dr. Law. So we had been working with both of them, and then for his palate repair, and then columella lengthening, and then Dr. Law did his most recent bone graft. So and
Oh,
we've
wow.
been, yeah, it's been there. I mean, been a huge blessing to us. We've never felt. I mean, I don't know if others feel like this, and they might, but I feel like your surgeon kind of becomes part of your family. Like you're handing
Yeah.
over your baby, and so you're trusting them with them, and so that I don't know, I just feel like there's like that connection there that you definitely build that trust and rapport with them,
Yeah.
and yeah, they just they become kind of part of your family unit.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, that's why. So is Kaiser a hospital or?
Yeah, it's like a health group set in California.
Okay. Yeah, because I actually heard this more recently. Someone said, "Oh, we're with Kaiser," but
Yeah,
I'm like, what does that mean? Like,
yeah,
because
yeah,
I always think like an insurance like group or something.
yes,
So,
yep, yep.
okay. So if you're a part of this network or this system, they kind of refer you to different places. Is that how it
Yeah,
works?
all within their network. Yeah.
Yeah. And so with that also, that must have been really hard. Like I echo you in saying like whenever you choose a team and then having to change teams because they
Mhm.
do become like they're like one of the most important people in your lives during this time. So
Yeah.
having to kind of move and change, I'm sure there was like some anxiety that you have
Oh
with
yeah.
like selecting like
Yeah.
a team, like because that was so hard. Was that like a personal move or
Yeah. It was a family move. We moved a family business from
uh
California to Texas. Yeah.
I actually talked to Dr. Law about this, that there's so many cleft moms that I speak to in Texas, and I'm
Yeah.
like, are there more clefts in Texas? And he's like, "Well, it's a pretty big state." And I'm like, "Hey, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right." But I
Yeah.
just saw so many doctors there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there are a lot of hospitals and cleft teams in Texas. And
Yeah.
you're right, you really can't go wrong. And so what did you do to kind of prepare for those surgeries, whether it was lip or palate? What are some like suggestions or tips that you may have for moms that are trying to prepare? I know more recently you had bone graft, and that may have looked a little bit differently than
Mhm.
lip repair and palate repair for you all. But what do you do like leading up to surgery or preparing for these surgeries?
I think like I said, I like as much information as I can get. So I asked our surgeons, questions of like what should we have on hand? Like what would be helpful to have, or what should we expect for recovery? I know there's different things. Yeah, for each one. Most recently, yeah, bone graft. He was on a liquid diet, or very soft food diet for 12 weeks. So that was a challenge for him, because especially being a picky eater to begin with.
Yeah.
But just kind of having things, we use like squeeze bottles and recipes and things like that to have on hand, just to try to be as prepared as possible. I know
Yeah.
different a lot. And again, I think, social media, the Facebook group is an amazing resource, because you can reach
Yeah.
so many other families that have been through it and be like, hey, this worked for me. This, didn't work for me. Um, just to kind of have as many ideas and resources in my back pocket that like, okay, this isn't working, let's try this then, and that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
What foods or what was a hit for him
Uh,
in terms of, like, what he could
yeah,
eat?
I mean, we did a lot of smoothies or milkshakes, and actually his orthodontist was like, put avocado in oil in everything, like try to
Oh,
get as
yeah.
much, fat in him as possible. And then I,
Oh, that's so
you know,
smart, yeah.
yeah, use like unflavored protein powder just to get a little bit of extra in there. So if he only got like half of it in, at least like I knew he got
It
something.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's a rough one. It was challenging, but
yeah.
yeah,
Did you have to, like, sneak it in or was
no,
or
totally had to. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he'd even come over and see me putting something in, and he's like, "What is that?" Oh, nothing.
Oh, yeah, that's such a great tip though, because
Yeah,
that way they don't, lose all this weight and stuff,
yeah,
and they're fuller longer
yeah,
and that type of thing.
yeah.
Um, and so I know a big thing that a lot of parents say about bone graft is the worst part was the swelling.
Hmm.
And I've heard parents even say like that their child were never really concerned about it, but then when they saw the swelling, they became, they had like an insecurity about it
Yeah,
and that they were
yeah.
surprised about. Did you all experience that and what was the swelling like for you all?
Yeah, initially, yes, I think day 3 and 4 were like the worst. He was
Mm,
very swollen and bruised, and the swelling lasted for about, I think probably about a week. Again, I think another tip, either his surgeon or the orthodontist had told us, is to have like those little ice packs, like those little bead ice packs on hand so that he could just keep kind of putting those on. And he was
mm,
really good about that. He would keep that on kind of all as much as he could. And I do think that really helped a lot with the swelling. I think he had his bone taken from his hip too, so that was another thing. A lot of moms had said, like, oh, that's the hip pain is even
yeah.
worse than the mouth pain. Sometimes, thankfully, whatever Dr. Law did, he never complained, and we stayed on top of, his painkillers as we were
Mhm.
instructed. He never complained of pain once, which was just
Oh,
a huge
wow.
blessing. He was
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and the swelling was, yeah, the most uncomfortable part. But thankfully, for him, he never complained, of like any excruciating pain, which was a
Yeah.
blessing.
Are there any things that he, as he's getting older now, right, and kind of realizing that this is, a part of his life, are there any things that he sort of talks about to you or has any questions about? Obviously, his older brother doesn't have the same experience as him. Is there anything that he asks you about his journey?
Yeah, especially the last couple years and it leading up to bone graft too. He's had questions, like why was I born like this? Why wasn't Blake born like this? Like what, did I do something wrong? And
Oh.
just explaining it's nothing you did, like it's nothing we did. This you were born, this is how you were born, and there was nothing wrong with you. Your lip just didn't form fully in the womb, and so that you had to have surgery when you were, very young to complete that. And then this is just another part of your journey too, that like we don't want to ever say that he's broken or needs to be fixed. Like this is
Yeah.
just, you know, what we need to do. And he even questions like, do I have to do this? And just kind of being
Mm.
straightforward with them and like, well, if you don't do it, you don't have a bone in your gum line, so then your adult teeth don't have anything to anchor to. So if we don't do this, later on it could cause more problems. And so I think he understands that, but especially at this age, as they're getting older, it is a lot to process. And sometimes, he, like I said, he'll just wonder, he's like, well, why me? Or when he sees the differences of like, his orthodontic journey has been much different than his brother's was. And so kind of making that comparison
Yeah.
between the two can sometimes be hard.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's hard for you as well,
Yeah,
just
because
having
you want
to
him, yeah, to be confident and not, I mean, I mean, I think a child's mind can sometimes internalize, like, what did I do? Just reinforcing that
Yeah.
it's nothing you did. Like, everyone has a different journey of all different kinds of things. And this is yours. And we just reinforce that, he's strong and that he has, done so well so far and that he'll continue to
Yeah.
do that. And there's nothing that it doesn't hold him back from, anything. The same things, maybe his brother wants to do, he can do. Like it's just
Yeah.
looks a little different for him.
Yeah. Perfectly made.
Yes.
Perfectly
Yep. Yep.
made. And so what is next on his journey? And so that was last year.
Yeah.
So it's looking like it was a success.
Yes.
Because I know sometimes the bone
Yes.
grafts can fail and stuff. So
Yes.
so what is next for Cole?
Yeah. So far, yeah, everything so far looked successful. He is hopefully he's waiting on one more tooth to come down, and he is hopefully going to get a break from braces for a little while, and which he's super excited about. And I think kind of now we're just in another waiting phase. I feel like after palate repair, we had a couple years of kind of just like this uh, you get a break, I guess, so to speak, like you're working up to the next thing. And then now that he's gotten through that, um, he'll have like a second phase of braces at some point. And then, as far as we've been told, he does have an underbite right now, so that will likely need a jaw surgery, maybe about 17, 18 they say when his jaw's done growing. But we'll just see. Maybe,
Yeah.
something, maybe it'll grow, maybe not. And then same thing
Yeah.
too, if when he gets to that point, he said too, he's like, I like the way I look, so if that's something that's not medically necessary and I mean, we're willing to let him make that decision on his own,
Yeah.
what he wants to do when he gets to that point.
Yeah. I like that approach, like, all of them, because some of it is no longer like function,
Right.
and just yeah. And then just allowing them to decide, because I've spoken to some cleft affected individuals as well, and they like I always ask like, okay, are you done with surgeries? Is there
Hmm.
something else that you're looking to? And most of them, of course, they're older, so they're in their 30s or their 40s. Some
Yeah.
of them even in their 20s. They'd say, no, I'm done with surgeries, or they said, oh, I'm actually have an upcoming like no surgery and that type of thing. So, but it is like one of those things that it's no longer in my parents'
Yeah.
hands. It's something that I've, decided to do on my own.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, so that's been kind of nice when they're able to kind of take control of their own journey as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so I do want to talk about how Cuddles for Cleft started. I know that that is something that is well known within the cleft community. And so how did you kind of come up with this wonderful idea?
Yeah, initially there was another organization at the time we were in California, and she was based in Texas. And it just happened that when we moved within an hour of her. So I was able to volunteer with her organization, and she did something similar where she sent care packages to
Mm.
individuals undergoing a cleft related surgery. And I was able to work alongside her for a few years. And then she decided, just with life circumstances, that it was time to kind of let it go. And when that happened, there was definitely like a void within the cleft community.
Mm.
Like it had become something that people had looked forward to,
Yeah.
and enjoyed. And so when she made that choice, I thought, I was like, I think I can do this, on my own. And so, I mean, it was just a lot of research on my own, figuring out, okay, how do you start a nonprofit? And the pieces just came together super quickly, thankfully for me, and we were able to launch Cuddles for Clefts in 2017.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and I followed a similar model to her. We would definitely personalize like each individual box. And I was
Mm,
like, if I could
mhm.
streamline this a little bit more, I think that we could have a further reach as well.
Yeah.
So we just kind of focused on like what people most enjoyed about the boxes, which was the stuffed animal and the onesie. So we have those two things, and then the Shining Scars book in our cuddle packs that we send out to those who are having a cleft related operation. And then in 2020, from my experience and some other moms' experiences with that diagnosis and not really having any resources, we were like, what can we come up with that can be a tool for doctors to have on hand to give their patients who are receiving this diagnosis? And that's how we launched our diagnosis support boxes in 2020, which is just a box that has accurate and helpful information right from the get-go that gives doctors a tool to give their patients. And then it also gives the patient an opportunity to get connected into the cleft community from the get-go, as much or as little as they want. But just to be able to have those resources, hopefully, and our goal is as early in their journey as possible.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. I think that those are both phenomenal ideas. I mean, even you speaking with your doctor early on, kind of not knowing what to say, there's like, and
Yeah,
obviously, we don't want doctors just shoving a box into their hands and saying
right.
like goodbye, but at least it gives them some like a resource to hand them,
Yes.
which I think is really valuable and important.
Yeah.
Um, do you remember what was in, like, the original Clef the boxes that you all were sending out?
Yeah, with the application, they would, put their likes, dislikes, favorite colors. So they were
Ah.
really
Oh, super
customized,
personal, yeah,
to the child, which was great. But it was obviously super time consuming. And the
yeah.
more that she grew, that's what it kind of became overwhelming to keep up with all of that.
Oh, wow. Do you still talk to her, or you
I don't
no?
know. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and so what does, was the original name Cuddles for Clef, or was it something different?
No, it was Cleft Kids was the
Cleft
original.
Kids,
Mhm.
gotcha, okay. Yeah, no, I just think that that is, like, such a wonderful thing, and I think that so many people want to do something, right?
Yeah.
They want to feel connected to the community. I know that, specifically, the bears are, like, a big hit, and especially the onesies. Everyone wants to take that picture with
Yeah.
their with the onesie on and,
Yeah.
like, the day before surgery, like, I remember when I got my box, put her I waited until the day before her surgery to put it on her and to take a picture and post, and that was actually the first day that I had shared about Giselle's cleft, and she
Yeah.
was already, like, 10 months,
Yeah.
and I didn't tell anyone until she was 10. I didn't tell my family until she was about 3 months,
Wow.
my extended family, and
Uh-huh.
then I didn't tell, like, my families and friends like on social media until she was about 10 months. The day before her surgery is when I finally
Yeah.
shared it with everyone.
Yeah.
And I put that picture up and so yeah, with her onesie and it was really something really special to me. So I just remember receiving it, how I felt. And so I know that it has made an impact on other families.
Yeah.
So
And that's kind of our hope. I know we said too, just knowing that someone else has gone through it or is thinking of you during that time, I think it's just for us
mhm.
too was super. It just feels like a hug, kind of, just that
Yeah.
someone else is thinking of you, and it's been really sweet to see, other children get sponsored, whether it's a family that's been through it themselves or just kind of passing that forward. It's neat to see that support just kind of continue down the line.
Yeah. How many boxes do you typically send out a year?
It's been like about 1,200 a year, probably.
Whoa.
At the beginning of this year, I was shocked because I had to look. I'm like, how many have we sent? In the beginning of this year, for cuddle packs, we've shipped almost, or probably now over 12,000 since we started.
What?
Yeah, I was shocked. I'm like, is this right? And I mean, all over the world. Like that's
Yeah.
so cool. And then with the diagnosis boxes, I mean, we have shipped a lot of those too. I think we're over 3,000 with those since we launched those in
Yeah.
2020. So
Wow. Yeah, I don't know, have you connected with the ACPA to connect with their cleft teams, like the certified cleft teams or
Yes, and we connected with them, especially for the diagnosis boxes to be able. That was
Yeah.
one of our biggest challenges was reaching the right person to let them know
Mhm.
about this resource and see if it's something that they could accept in their office or would be wanting in their office. So yeah, we worked with them in the teams that they are under them to try to distribute those. And then they have an amazing baby's first year booklet
Oh, yeah.
that we purchased from them, and that's included in the diagnosis boxes. That just gives a great overview of kind of what to expect for that first year of life.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And I guess just in thinking about everything that you've done, what do you wish people just knew about children with cleft lip or palate in general?
I think with the same that I probably would say for my non-cleft affected child is to see them for who they are and not their differences. We're all different, in
Mm.
different ways, and we all have different abilities. And just to see each person as a person, not to judge them or to make assumptions based on their physical appearance, like to just treat them like you would anyone else.
Yeah, I agree. And what do you think has been like your personal like life lesson in all of this, right? Like I think probably in the beginning you had only seen clefts in, commercials and I know for me personally, I never thought that this would happen to me. And so what do you take away from, having a cleft affected child and starting this wonderful organization that you've built and been able to impact so many families and see how that has like really made a change and like connected us all. What has been like your biggest takeaway and lesson learned from all of this?
I think a big thing is the community. I definitely, my life was my little bubble, before this
Yeah.
diagnosis. And then since this diagnosis, we've just been exposed to a beautiful community of people that are supportive and who care for each other. And I think it's just really expanded my view of people and maybe my understanding and compassion towards others who may have different challenges
Mm,
in general. Like I said,
yeah.
we all have different abilities and challenges, and just to really take the time to see a person for who they are. And it's changed my approach, as we've maybe met other individuals with other differences you know, to treat them as a human and not be scared of
Mhm.
them. It's also
Yeah,
taught me to have a lot of grace. Sometimes we've gotten questions that are it's like, did you really, did you really just ask
yeah,
that, kind of thing. But then also understand that sometimes people are curious and I especially like may not know the appropriate question to ask someone, um,
mhm.
to just show a lot of grace and be able to explain and educate and use it as a learning opportunity or teaching opportunity for others too.
Yeah. And what do you that's usually like my last question, right? I always try to end with that. But it made me think of something else. Like what does Cole think of all of this? Like what like his, you know, I mean, you've been working on this because of him, right?
Yeah,
And so what are his thoughts? Does he think about it or is he like the
yeah,
little like, boy that's like, okay, whatever, most of
no,
most
no.
of
In
the
fact,
boy moms are like, my son is like, whatever.
right, right. Yeah. No, he has a hands-on role. He'll help me, box
Aw.
up boxes and he's like, where's this one going? Or, he's like this like what type of cleft do they have? Like which bear do they need? And so it's been yeah, it's really neat and to see how he's kind of as he's grown come into his own. And sometimes, he'll share his experience, with others if he gets,
Wow.
asked a question. And so to see him really kind of just embrace his journey and share that with others too has been really neat.
Yeah. How can this audience support Cuddles for Cleft? Is there a way to get involved or do more or support the organization?
Yeah,
How can we do that?
Yeah, the best way, our website is www.cuddlesforclefts.com. And on there, we have on our sponsorship page, we have all the applications that we've received of recipients who are waiting for a sponsor. So, one of the ways that you can support is by directly sponsoring a child for their surgery. And we also have a link for if you wanted to sponsor a diagnosis support box. Those we ship directly to hospitals and providers, but you can sponsor those because those are something that we do offer free of charge to doctors and clinics so that they have that resource to hand a patient.
Mm, love that. Well, thank you. Of course, you all can go to Cuddles for Clefts. That's the Instagram handle as well,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And then the website as well, to sponsor and support and do all the things. Thank you so much, Krista, for being here with us today and just sharing your story. I know that sometimes reflecting back on these things can be sometimes challenging, but we're so grateful that we have moms to speak with and to share their journeys to help others feel a little bit less alone.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all the work that you're doing at Cuddles for Clefts, you're bringing this community closer together and you're definitely making an impact. So thank you for being on today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And thank you all for listening to the Our Forever Smiles, Cleft Mom Diaries, and Support podcast. Be sure to subscribe and submit a review of the podcast wherever you listen. I hope that you've enjoyed this audio experience. Maybe you cried a little, laughed a little, but more importantly, I hope that you feel a little piece of reassurance and even joy in your journey. Talk to you next week.
Hey everyone, it's Laura here. I'm popping in today because I need your help. If Our Forever Smiles has ever helped you, if you've learned something new, felt less alone, or found hope through this podcast, then I'm asking you to help keep it going. Creating this podcast, sharing stories, and building a space where cleft families feel seen and supported is something that I pour my heart into. But the truth is, I cannot do it alone. If we want to reach more families and provide even more resources, we need your support. So I thought of a creative way to do this. For just $2 a month, you can help ensure this podcast keeps going strong. For $5 a month, you'll unlock exclusive Moms in Real Life content, real unfiltered conversations about motherhood and career and everything in between. And then for $10 a month, you can get everything plus exclusive merch to show your support. If this podcast has helped you and you want to see it grow to help other families that are probably facing the very same challenges that you are facing right now, please consider supporting us today. Every dollar goes toward making a difference for cleft families just like yours. And right now, we'll be using the funds to elevate the show for production. So we'll be able to add more video and just get new equipment. And as soon as this community is established and we're able to do more, we definitely plan to go beyond the scope of just this community. We want to be able to support scholarships for new craniofacial surgeons. We want to be able to support global surgeries and just really spread our efforts to continue to make an impact in our community. I just want to thank you in advance. And I'm just so grateful that you all are able to support me and support this community here. And it's definitely something that I'm really looking forward to. The link is in the show notes. And I just want to do a shameless plug here. The Moms in Real Life podcast is so cool, so candid. And yeah, it's definitely something that you'll want to check out. Thank you all again.